Alright, so video 1 of the rigging series. JR got a new slow pitch rod for his birthday. He already had this turn reel, accurate turn 300, loaded up with some braid, but he got this grapple, Shimano grapple rod. We're going to rig up here, basically show you how it goes from line to leader to jig, hooks, all that. So first of all, with these, I start by tying an FG knot, which isn't the easiest knot to tie, but it's easier the way I'm going to show you. So I start with just a regular overhand loop. So loop your line, just make one loop, and then pop it through. So you're just going to have a normal loop. Now you're going to take this and put it around the handle of your reel and put a little tension on it like that. So for leader, this is Daiwa's just floral leader, 40 pound. This is one of the ones they have at Red Tops, and honestly, I'm not super specific with what leader to use as long as it's fluorocarbon. I use this Daiwa one because it has the cool little sleeve on the line that keeps it neat. That's really the only reason I use this one. So about a 6-inch tag end. Lay it right on top of your line, and then you start doing over hand wraps. So you go under it, pull it tight. Go under this side and pull it tight. And you're going to pinch your wraps as you go. So this will be the second one this tie, or 3 overall. Okay, so under, and that's 4, and you're looking for like, oh, anywhere between 20 and 26. So I'm gonna go now. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So if you look now, you'll see it's kind of like one of those finger traps. It's just a weave back and forth really tight. So you're going to pinch that now, take it off there, pull the tag end so that your loop's gone, and then move this a little more. So your tag end now goes around your main line and the rest of the leader here, and you're just going to do an overhand knot and cinch it down tight to lock that on there so you can let pressure off it. So now what we do is we're going to pull on it some, tighten that right up, and you'll see your knot will actually turn a darker color. Like the line's green, but it turns a darker green once it's really tight. Alright, and now we're going to trim our leader tail pretty close. And then we're going to finish our knot off with 3 more overhand knots alternating. So let's put this over here. So leader, main line, tag line. So we're going to come under the main line and through. Pull it out nice and tight. And we're going to to go over the main line and through. Then under the main line and through. And basically what you're doing is you are softening the transition between that leader tag sticking up and your main line. So instead of having like your main line and your leader like this, your knots are smoothing those two out. And then the last knot I like to do is take them two together, and then you're going to go around. So you bring your tag end up, pinch it with your main line, and then go around your main line 5 or 6 times. There's 3. 4, 5. We have it like that. And now you're gonna back wrap it. So you're gonna come your loop, you're gonna untwist your loop basically. And what it's gonna do is transfer these wraps to the other end of your line. So you're gonna do the 5 unwrapping. So 1, 2, 5. And all that does is make it so when you pull your tag line, it'll cinch down nicer instead of going opposite. You want to keep it nice and keep your knot nice and tightened out when you're pulling. That's not the right word, tightened out, but like keep working it so that it comes down nice and tight against that tag end there. So you have a super smooth transition there. And then it's all tight. Trim it nice and close. There you go. Now you can see that's a super thin knot. Like that's barely bigger than the line itself. And that's going to go through your guides nice and easy. And also this knot is one of the strongest ones you can tell. You almost have 100% line strength or tension here. So now for the leader, I go 6, 12, 18 feet. Snip it. And then we're going to tighten this up. And see that you could barely hear that going through the guides. Sorry for the backdrop here. It's just an old t-shirt, but the white really helps, so I'm trying to help you guys see as best you can. Now, these are the VMC Tech Set tandem assist hooks, and these are by far my favorite hooks for the slow pitch. I love them. You get 2 hooks. They got a little tassel on them, and the steel solid ring there. So what you want to do from there is you want to get yourself, well, you don't need to get them. Most jigs do come with a split ring here, and this one, Nomad jig. These are really good jigs. They're good hooks too. I just like these hooks better. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop this hook off. So you can see this has the solid ring on there. You're going to take your split ring, pop it open, and of course I got it on the wrong side. Get it started. And most of the fish we're targeting with these, haddock, cod, black sea bass, fluke. That's really what we're fishing for them with here in the Northeast. Tuna too, but we mostly use these for bottom fishing. The way I like to rig them, you'll see almost all jigs have a narrow side and a fatter side. I like my hooks and line on the narrow side so that when you jig up and then let it out, that heavy side wants to flutter out. the other way, I mean, they work either way, but I feel like the other way, you don't get quite as good a flutter. So let's take this guy, pop open your ring, take your hooks, get them on there, spin them on. What you can also do that's really helpful, I don't have one here, so also on this split ring you can put a swivel, and you're going to tie, slide your swivel on the ring and then tie that swivel, and that'll help with line twist. Generally we don't get a lot of line twist because we're not fishing super deep, but it's a good idea either way. But for the most part, it doesn't really, it's not necessary for what we're fishing. So for these, I just tie a regular uni knot. So double it up, come around 5 times, 6 times, and then moisten your knot. Pull it tight, pull it tight. Trim your tag in, and there you go. Now these are both opposite ways. When the fish grabs it, they kind of pop out in both hooks. You can also run another split ring on this end with 2 more hooks. I generally don't like to do that. We don't keep everything we catch. We do like to let some go. So when you do that, you're really, you're hooking them in the eyes and the gills everywhere. This just cuts down on that a little bit. So yeah, and there we go. Alright, so let's talk about technique with this. A lot of what we do is shallow, probably under 150 feet. Sometimes out off Stellwagen we'll get down there, 200-300, but very rarely over that. A lot of what we're doing is probably 60 to 100 feet. And what we do is we find, good structure, whether it be the edge of a ledge or drop off or rocks or something. With the exception of haddock. Haddock are usually just generally on the flat mud bottom, eating worms and stuff. But, so what you're gonna do with this, you find where you're gonna fish, drop down to the bottom. You want a little bit of tension on the spool for the first 30 to, let's call it 60 feet of line, because if you let it free fall, what will happen is it'll flutter all the way down. You want a little tiny bit of thumb pressure on there, so as it goes down, it basically just shoots straight to the bottom. And after you get that 30, 60, 80 feet of line out, what happens is the line is enough drag on it to keep it shooting to the bottom. Hit the bottom, engage your reel, and you want to load the rod. I know it's kind of hard to see over there, but I'll stand like this. When you lift up, you load the rod, and then just let the rod flick the jig. So, let's load the rod. So you flick the jig and it goes up and flutters down, and then you take like 1 reel of your reel, which is usually on these anywhere from 36 to 48 inches per turn. So jig it, 1 reel, jig it, 1 reel, jig it, 1, 2 reels. It's almost like working a jerk bait. You want to be erratic, and you want to basically turn this into a dying bait fish of some sort. So you got the flash, every time you let it go, it flutters, and you want to boom, flutter, boom, boom, flutter, boom, and just back and forth, and make it real erratic, real flashy, and most fish can't help but eat it. So yeah, that is, one more thing I will go over. Obviously there's different weights, different shapes, different weights. Everyone has usually it printed out. This is 120 gram. So a general rule of thumb is 1 gram per foot of depth. 100 feet, 100 grams. 80 feet, 80 grams. That's definitely not set in stone. You're going to go under heavy current situations, you're going to need a heavier jig in shallower water. They make different designs. As you can see, so this jig right here is a little bit narrower than say this jig. This one is heavier, but also it has more of a teardrop shape. The bigger the teardrop shape, the more it's going to flutter, the more it's going to grab water as in current, and you'll get bigger scope in your line. You want to try to stay as vertical as possible, straight under the boat. You'll get less snags, you'll have better control over your jig, you'll have better feel of your jig. So again, narrower jigs, higher current, you can get away with less weight. The fatter jigs are better for a slower current, slower drift. You get more flutter out of them. So use that to kind of select what jig you're going to use. Colors are pretty simple. I like two kinds. You got a bait fish. I'd call this one a bait fish pattern. Flashy, this is kind of a bait fish. This is probably green and pink bait fish. And then you have your oranges and your glows. This one's silver and glow, so this would be good both for the flash and for the deep water. Really deep water, you want some glow on your jig. And then like I said, the oranges, you know, that's either like, a small, usually the bottom dwelling bait fish are a darker color, brownish, oranges, that and so on. And so are the crabs and, you know, crustaceans and stuff. So basically, you pick two patterns, get some kind of crustacean pattern, some kind of bait fish pattern, a couple different sizes, a couple different shapes, hooks, tie up and go catch some fish. Hope you enjoyed this video.